all. Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of Referee Corner here on IslandStats.com. I'm your host, Earl Basin, and joining me this afternoon into the evening are Bermuda Football Association assistant referees Natasha Trott, Amari Majors, Clinton Hayward, and Stephen Mabry. These four recently concluded officiating in the 2021 Boys and Girls Under 14 Challenge Series in the Dominican Republic. And I want to say, guys, first of all, welcome back. And we're going to talk about the experience over in the Challenge Series, your personal experiences, what you thought about your performances, what your evaluations were, and the like. So let's start with you, Natasha, as the only female on the trip from the team here in Bermuda. What was it like for you for that period of time down in the Dominican Republic?
It was
Natasha?
good.
Okay.
I didn't have any expectations really going in because it was my first international tournament. So I just went in with an open mind, and I think that it went well. The purpose that we went for went well. It was a few outside factors in the trip that were a little rocky, but the main purpose, the refereeing part of the trip, was good. I think that I
Now,
got a thing or two out of it.
yeah. Before you left, you were concerned just a little bit about the fitness part because you had been on vacation and you were just a tad bit concerned about that. Did your fears of your fitness get allayed, or was that a challenge for you?
It wasn't a challenge. The games were only 70 minutes, so the fitness was compatible with for me to be able to run 70 minutes in a game. It turned out to be okay.
Okay, all right. Clinton, for you, what was this experience like as opposed to any other?
It was coming from CONCACAF and going to the CFU is a big difference. I have fun. The fitness part weren't an issue, and the game level was a lot of my games was one-sided. But other than that, everything was pretty much regular football.
Going into it, was it what you expected, or did anything surprise
It was totally different. I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, um, for the age group, it was a little surprising. But other than that, football, it's just regular football.
you? Okay, all right. Amari, what did it meet your expectations, or was that level, as Clinton has said, for the age group? Did it surprise you at any point?
I would say a little bit, yeah. Only because I'm not used to the level of football there. But I would say the main thing that surprised me was like the camaraderie of all the referees and during training and stuff like that. That's my biggest surprise.
And was it one of those things where you kind of fitted in right away, or it took you a little while to warm up to the group?
It was definitely one of the things where you fit in right away, and like you didn't have any second thoughts about how you fit in. Everyone knows what they're supposed to do, and you just do what you're supposed to do, and it all works out.
And for you, Stefan, coming back from an injury, first international event, were the nerves there?
No, because I put in X body of work before. I was never concerned about my fitness. I was never worried about that. The football itself, I was expecting to be a little different than CONCACAF tournaments in that it was a younger age group, but the quality of football wasn't that big of a gap. So yeah, fitness wise, I was fully confident, fully prepared. Um, because of having passed the fitness test before I went out there, I knew none of my challenges were going to be fitness related.
Mm, mm. Now, each of you would have been working with people you probably had never worked with before, or if you have, once or twice. How did you find the communication, especially game one, as you're feeling each other out? How did you find game one, Clinton?
For game one, um, once you had we had a match briefing. Me and the first ref actually got along pretty well. He was from, I wanna say, Trinidad and Tobago. Um, and we got to know each other for a short period of time in the changing room. And we, when we was warming up, we was talking. Everybody's explained the style how they work, and because we had the buzzer flakes, it helped us out a great deal. So I mean, everybody knows the objective of the game, the rules of the game, and once you understand how everybody worked, it pretty much came like a regular job. So it weren't hard at all.
Mm, mm. What about you, Amore? How did you find communication, especially game one?
I think game one was it was good. It started out well during the game. It was great, but it started out a little shaky because I was paired with Stefan for my first game, our first game, and our referee was, I believe, like one of the youngest referees, not assistant referees at the tournament. So
Mm,
he was still getting to know what like pre-match brief is about, and we had some concerns, but we quickly like told him what's what and what's expected of us and what we see in like our match briefs and advised him on it, and he took the notes, and then at the game it was just smooth sailing.
mm, mm. Stefan, were you concerned about that, being that he was young and you guys were helping to guide the person that's in charge? I know everybody kind of has to do their role, but this is the person that's in charge. Were you concerned at that time?
No. So one thing I noticed about this tournament that was different from CONCACAF was that the time you had, so at CONCACAF tournaments, you're giving your referee team the night before, early the night before. So you have ample time to meet with your team. This, sometimes you were getting assignments a little late and you didn't have time to meet before. So you had time to meet before the games, but you didn't have time to have a team meeting and sleep on it. But the first fixture, fortunately enough, we did have time. The first round of fixtures, the teams came out pretty early. So we got to
Mm,
sit down and talk with the referee and get familiar with him and how he wanted things done. It was a little bit of an alarm bell when we had the team talk and he was just talking about, let's go out there, have fun. It was very brief and he was like, that's it. And I was like, oh, whoa, whoa. We have a lot to cover. Like we've never worked together. I was how much authority do you want us to take? There was a lot of questions to be had. So I just kind of jumped in and was like, okay, and I just bombarded him with questions to get that information as far as teamwork goes, and then it started to flow, and we started to talk about how we were going to operate as a team. So when game day came, even though he was one of the least experienced referees as a referee, we were all on the same page as far as game plan and how we wanted to operate as a team. And I think that later on in the tournament, when I had less time to talk to the referees, I was with more experienced referees, so we didn't need as much time.
mm. What was that first game like for you, Natasha, and the fact that you had a team and you got to communicate, and how did you find that?
So we were able to have a team meeting the night before the game, my first game. It was three English speakers, and the referee was Spanish speaking, but she had pre-written out her uh, pre-game speech in English. So we just read her notes on the phone and we were like, okay, we get you. So when we were doing the discussion, we had Google Translate out the whole time. It actually was smooth. Like it sounds crazy, but it was pretty smooth for her not being able to speak that great of English. I mean, it was good enough for her to tell us everything that is standard football. So it
Right.
went well. And then the game actually went very well too. We had communication devices, and then we had the butterfly, so we were geared up, ready. And she knows basic English, so
Mm.
she was able to understand us when we were talking in the game. You know, things are fast paced in the game, so it might have been confusing. But when the game was over, she was like, "This is fine. It worked out."
Mm.
And we realized that eye contact and those hand signals are necessary, but it worked out. It was good.
Right. That's good. That's good. Um, Stefan, for you, as the tournament went on, what did you find more difficult personally?
Um, I'm not somebody who's void of pressure. I put a little bit of pressure on myself, only in that it's such a small sample size. If I've said in previous interviews, you go out there and you're there for X amount of time, but you're likely only going to do between 3 and 5 games ish, depending on the tournament. Um,
Hmm.
so you put a lot of pressure on yourself to do your absolute best in those 3 games. So what I find challenging for me was like maintain an optimal focus at all times. Because one tiny little mistake, even if it's out of character for you, is magnified because they're only getting to see you for 3 games. So I found my biggest challenge was maintaining focus. But I did it well. I didn't, it wasn't something that, oh man, it got the better of me. That was probably one of my better tournaments in that my focus throughout every game was maintained throughout the entire game and throughout the entire tournament. I never let myself go as far as just going through the motions. I was chasing every ball, hitting all my cues. But that was the biggest challenge, was maintaining, keeping that focus as high as you can keep it, because the sample size is so small.
Right. And same question for you, Natasha. How did you find it as the tournament went on?
Um, I got more comfortable. I ended up refereeing with the same refs for most of the games, so the progress for the teamwork, it went well. I don't think that it was anything too hard to get you onto. I think that I would have liked to have more feedback in my assessments after the games, but sometimes during the training sessions, I would ask the assessors like a question or two on how they thought I performed. So it came around in the end.
Mm. Good. And Amari, how did you feel as the tournament went on? Any concerns for you?
Mainly the same as Stefan, like keeping concentrated throughout the game. I feel like I like during our first match, I made a like similar mistake as he did, and after that, like I knew I had to stay focused for like the rest of the game, rest of the half, and once I made that mistake, I knew it's no more playing around after that. So I think realizing that I made the mistake and not holding on to it made me get back into the game and stay focused better. So yeah.
Mm. And what about you, Clinton? As the tournament went on, how did you feel, or where did you feel comfortable and uncomfortable?
Um, my issue is the same issue I have in Bermuda, is the focus level. And I got caught sleeping once in the first game, and then I made up for it as the tournament went on. And thankfully, I had the same assessor for my games, and he saw the big improvement. So my focus is what I really need to get on cue.
Okay. Well, each of you has talked a little bit about the mental side of it. So I know the head of refereeing here gives you get you guys all the physical training you need. What are some of the things that you to help you to mentally focus? What are some of the things you need to do in training that could actually help you in that regard? And I'll start with you, Amari.
Well, one tip that I got from Rohan Thorburn, he
Hmm.
told me to read, or yeah, the man wants to read, and I have been not like it's on and off. Like I don't fully read because you know got other things to do, but I definitely will continue doing it, and then hopefully when I come back, start doing more games. Hopefully, see the progress that is built up.
Mm. No, when he says read, he doesn't mean read law books or stuff like that. He means just read in general.
Yeah, just read in general.
Oh, okay. And what about you, Natasha? What do you think can help you that locally that training can help you kind of focus just a little more?
Um, I don't think that my focus is gets lost usually. I realized recently that sleep is important, and I need that to carry out the fitness duties that I need to. So focusing on getting enough rest and realizing that I haven't had enough is my focus recently.
Mm. And Clinton, for you, what advice? I mean, what would you think you would need locally to help you focus more?
I see. My problem is I get bored quick, so I need to find something so that my boredom don't set in as quick as it normally does. So I'm still trying to do some research on how to adjust that part.
Mm. Okay, all right. And Stefan, for you?
For me, it's not a whole lot I could do training wise for focus. Um, Seat time always helps to see more things, different scenarios unfold. I mean, you can go over all the videos in the world and stuff like that, but until you're out there doing games and you have to see different word scenarios. At these youth tournaments, you see things you will never see because they make errors and mistakes that are like, whoa, did that just happen? Oh, what do I do? What is what does the law say about that? Like you'll have like crazy situations where things you wouldn't normally see at a senior level, like the keeper coming out, handling the ball, dropping back. It's like, whoa, sometimes you can't even believe what you're seeing. So you have to stay focused on, okay, what does the law say? How do I address this? Because you've studied it, but you've never actually seen it before. You've never had to act on it. So that's one thing. So seat time in that regard helps with focus. Um, but for me, focus is really for me. What helps focus on game day is actually my preparation on game day. Um, Not so much for day-to-day games here, but like at these tournaments or like even in Bermuda, if I'm selected on a final,
Mhm.
my game day prep is massive for me. Waking up in the morning, like I have to be level-headed all day. I like to do everything slowly, calm, methodical, so that when I enter the game, my mind's right. Like I guess like I zen out, and actually, you don't always find it. You don't always get into that state of mind. But when I do get into it, I feel like a machine. Like I feel like I cannot make a mistake. Like I feel like this is it. Like I'm gonna have the perfect game. And I had that the first day. When me and Amari we were supposed to do a game together on the first day, but that game got coveted out. And I was like, because I was so focused, I was so ready for it. I was in that state of mind, and I knew I was going to execute the perfect game. And when they said, "Oh, sorry, two members from such and such um confederation tested positive for COVID," and I was like, "You got any other games?" Like I can't prepare for a game. I was in that mental state, and I was like, "No, I'm in kill mode right now. I'm in perfect execution mode. You can't make up a game for me. It's a game after this. Can we do that?" But for me, the game day prep, the build up, the always building up to the game, the state of mind that I get into is big for me. And when I get into it, I know like I'm there, I'm locked in.
Mm. Well, let me ask, what because you always reflect, and we'll get to what the assessors would have told you. But as you reflect, what's some of the things you learned about yourself in this particular tournament? I'm talking about from the time you departed Bermuda to the time you return. What is some of the things that you learned about yourself that can help you go further as an official? And I'm gonna start with you, Clinton.
Well, me, I'm normally a cool, calm, collected guy. My temper gets the best of me sometimes, but I tend to control it majority of the time. I do say that I need to be more outspoken, kind of, right, when it comes to being in a different surrounding with new people. I tend to be shy. So once I get out of that little box there, I think would be a better person character wise.
Okay. Amari?
Uh, I would say, yeah, the outspoken part would help me get further, and also like not going into games as seriously and relaxing and understanding that job I do is just it's just another game. I think that's what got the better of me later on into the tournament.
Mm. Stefan?
Um, I learned a couple of things. Most glaringly, my Spanish is terrible. Um, I, I mean, I knew I wasn't great, but I thought I was a little better. I was, phew, went right over my head. And then the other thing was actually quite contrary to Randy and Amari. As everybody that knows me locally, and even at these tournaments, I've developed a reputation for myself as someone who over participates, for lack of a better word. Um,
Mm.
and this tournament, I learned that I actually can take a step back and just let others uh, participate a little more, because at this tournament there were referees coming from variant levels of experience. At previous tournaments I've been to, our level of experience or our level of performance has been kind of similar. At this tournament, you had people who were kind of raw, kind of green. um, so we would have group discussions in which we were talking about something, and I knew the answer. I was like, "Oh, that's simple. That's black and white. Like, we're beyond that." But you have to remember, oh, hold on, we're not all beyond that. Some of us are at a lower level. So I learned at this tournament to actually not be as outspoken, to kind of take a back seat and allow others to engage in dialogue a little more rather than me take control. However, if something did come up where it was like contentious and you knew it was something that it would take somebody with experience or somebody with knowledge to know the answer, or know what the assessors are looking for. Those I jumped all over. So I was like, okay, cool. This is a level 10 and I'm participating. On the level
Mm.
fours and fives, I'll let everybody engage in their dialogue and I'll take a back seat. But as soon as it got contentious, those are my favorites, because it's an opportunity to show what you know. You can't look at it like, oh man, I need to be humble and not participate. It's a small sample size. You have to show your ability outside of games. You're only going to do 3 or 4 games. So you have to be able to put yourself in the shop window, even outside of games. So classroom sessions are my absolute favorite, because it's a new opportunity to show that you know what you're doing. But this tournament, I did learn to temper that. And I didn't know I had it in me. I didn't know I had the ability to scale back and allow others to participate in me. So I learned that.
And what about you, Natasha?
What have I learned? What did I learn? I think that I should ask more questions when I'm on the fence about things. Sometimes I would have a question and think that I knew the answer, and instead of asking, I'll just let the room keep speaking rather than just asking out loud and then getting the answer right away. So that'll be my next thing to be
Okay,
working on.
cool. Well, let me ask you, being that you got your mic open, what advice did the assessors give you game by game?
It was pretty consistent. They just said one of the main things was to keep sharp. I think that they all saw my form was pretty decent, so they commended that. Um, just with the how do you say this? With the small technical things like raising the flag when the ball goes in the goal, put the flag up and then run rather than just run
Mm,
towards the halfway line.
right.
Um, it was nothing major that they told me to work on, but just continuing to be sharp and doing the correct things all the time.
Okay.
It was okay feedback.
Yeah. What about you, Clinton?
He told me that I need to not let the crowd know that I'm bored or yeah, pretty much bored of a game, which I found that hard to believe, but at sometimes it did true, and I tried my best to correct in every which way I possibly can. But it's my facial expression that gives it away all the time. So I'm gonna work on my facial expressions during the times of the game where it's don't involve me, but I still need to look like I'm engaged.
Mm, okay. And Amari?
Same as Natasha, small technical things that I have to work on, and uh, like yeah, not making like lazy calls, quote unquote, like making sure that all my calls are sharp and like yeah, on point.
And Stefan?
I hit the assessor jackpot. I had Neil Brazon as my assessor twice. Um, I had I had I had met him at previous tournaments, but never had him as an assessor, and I really enjoyed having him as an assessor. Reason being, as an AR, you don't always get a whole ton of feedback. So a game's
Mm,
done. Most of the feedback is directed towards the ref. Obviously, due to doing a little more. But
right,
Mr. Rizon's assessments were very, very balanced. We got a decent amount of feedback from him. At these tournaments, it's always beneficial to have an assessor twice because they give you feedback and then they
right.
get to see you again. They get to see you work on it. All my assessments were really well. I was really pleased with all my assessments. Um, there wasn't a whole lot of glaring things. Oh, this is you definitely have to work on this. This is subpar. Um, it's just some information I've had back in previous tournaments, but I've since worked on this, which may explain why I haven't had a whole lot of issues to work on at this previous tournament. Um, Small things. My only negative thing all tournament really was he said my fall signals were my throw-in signals were a touch high, which is something I've never heard before from any of my assessments. But he was making fun of me because he had me again, and he saw me every time I give a throw-in go to my natural position, and then come down a little bit. And he was like, I could see that you were thinking of what I was saying to you. But that was about it. Um, yeah, as far as assessments go, they were all pretty good.
Good, good. And let me ask you, because I heard Clinton make a comment, he finds it hard to believe. When listening to someone assess you, can you visualize what the person's telling you in yourself as he's telling you, or he or she is telling you about an incident where you had a body reaction or a facial expression or just something? Can you see that, and how do you kind of relate to that? And I'll go with Amori first.
Uh, yeah, I definitely saw it in my head, like, and at the end of the day, you got to be honest with yourself and with the assessors, because that's all they want from you. They don't want you to just say, "Oh yeah, I I I didn't do that," and argue with them, because that's not going to get you anywhere. But yeah, with them saying that like my signaling wasn't like as sharp as it needed to be, I like thought back in my head and I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because like my nature isn't to be like strict and whatnot. Like I'm a laid back type of person, so I guess it translates into my game as well. So yeah.
Okay. What about you, Natasha?
Um, yeah. So some of the calls, actually not some, it was only one call where it was the wrong call, and we were in the assessment room, and she was like, she replayed it. I looked at him like, man, who made that call? Like, so I remember the play when I was on the field, and I thought that the girl was offside, and then I replayed it. I mean, then she replayed it, and I was like, no, Tosh, like, what were you thinking? So yeah, I was aware when decisions were borderline,
Hmm.
and then the assessor would bring it up and say whether I got it wrong or right. But yeah, it was one where I was just like, let's delete this video and move on with the day. We don't need to show anybody this call. It wasn't like a critical match incident,
Right.
but
Right.
the call was like, gosh. I do remember making the call, and I thought it was right, and then I got to the assessment and it was right, and I was like, okay. But we move on. It was good after that. It was pretty decent after
Okay.
that. So yeah.
All right. And I'm gonna come to you, Clinton.
I don't really argue. I do try replay, and I try my best to not show, like you said, my facial expressions or my body language show it. And like each time I catch myself doing it, I'll try and correct it. And it was one time where I corrected and I made sure. But because the fourth official was behind me talking to me, and I was telling her, leave me alone, it's where he is like, yeah, don't pay attention to her. Just keep doing what you're doing. That was what he is talking about. But I'm like,
Mm.
with the person that it was, it's like every time I would come in line with her, she just keep having something to say, and I'm just like, look, man, leave me alone. But yeah, I'm not, like I said, I don't try, I wasn't trying to argue with him. I was just trying to play in my head what he is talking about. But when you got a fourth
Right.
official that don't keep the mouth to themselves, sometimes it really gets irritating, because what she is talking about had nothing to do with the game. So why are you talking to me?
Okay. All right. And Stefan?
Um, I relish the feedback. I enjoy it. I look forward to it. I've never personally had a negative reaction to the feedback. I've never been like, um, no, that's not right. I look forward to it because I'm trying to polish my game and I need that feedback. But you also have to keep in mind, so sometimes when you're getting critique, that might just be specific to that assessor. Um,
Right.
so there's law, and that's across the board. There are some
Hmm.
things that are across the board that you can do it today, and every assessor in the world is going to tell you, "Hey, that's wrong" or "That's right." But then there are other things that are specific to that assessor. Like I said, I've done these tournaments before. I've never ever had anybody criticize my arm positioning on throw-ins, and then Neil, who has rapidly become one of my favorite assessors, mentioned that, like critique that, and I was like, okay, but you have to keep in mind, okay, that might just be specific to him. Um,
Right.
Intrader, another, I may get a different assessor on a different day who says, hey, it's a touch low. You have to consider what feedback is specific to just that assessor and what's black and white, what's across the board. So you can't take those little things too hard. Um,
Mm.
and when I heard that, like I had one assessor, the only game I did without Neo as my assessor, I had some feedback that I was like, okay, well that contradicts everything I've been taught from both locally and your colleagues her, rather than engage in dialogue back and forth. Say, okay, yes, I understand, and we move on. You can't take it personal.
Mm,
And
mm,
that the criticism he was given wasn't directed at me; it was directed to the referee and all all the officials on the game, myself, the referee, the other AR, and the fourth official. When he said it, we all looked at each other like. So I understood that they understood. We were all hearing something completely foreign, and we all
right,
unanimously, without talking about it, decided, you know what, we're just gonna move on. We're not gonna talk about it. Just let him wrap up what he's got to say about it.
right. Stefan, let me ask you then, going to this tournament as an assistant referee, looking at the any possibility of moving up to becoming a referee, did those ambitions come to mind during this tournament, looking at the caliber of people that you were working alongside?
No, because of my age, I've come to grips with my track is AR. I've progressed too far as an AR to get off the ladder, go all the way to the bottom, and climb as a referee. By the time I
Hmm.
get to the level I am now as an AR, I'll be too close to 30 on the other side of 30,
Hmm.
which really closes the window to get off as an AR and on as a referee. That window, it will be all but shut by the time I got to the level I am as an AR. But I definitely felt like I could do this as a referee, um, but not enough to get off the track that I'm already on. I've gone too far down this road to get off now.
What about you, Natasha? And looking at it, because I mean, you always want to be someone that wants to challenge yourself. So, any ambitions of going into the middle part of international, or you're satisfied with as an assistant referee?
For now, I'm satisfied with being an assistant. It hasn't been long that I've been doing the assistant referee role. I think that I could definitely be a center referee, but we'll just see how things progress. But for now, AR is the path that I want to be on.
Mm. What about you, Clinton?
I'll stick to AR. I think I like
That's
it
facile.
better because I mean it's pressure on both ends, but
Hmm.
I'm able to laugh it off and get on with the game. In the middle, I don't think I'll be able to laugh it off and get back into the game if a certain scenario come up. So I'll just keep on AR and let it go.
Okay. What about you, Amari?
Well, obviously, I still have a few years to fully figure it out. But I would say at the tournament, my idea of being a assistant referee got a little bit changed because most of the referees and assistant referees, like just talking to them, they asked me what like why I'm not a center referee, and like just be like, oh yeah, you got all the features for it, and trying to persuade me to move over to that side. But I'm definitely like reconsidering it because I have the time, and I feel like if I just keep the same mentality that I have while being an assistant referee, like swap it over to the referee, doing the trainings and like getting more field practice, like because I'm not experienced doing that. Over time, I would become comfortable, and then fully figure out if I really want to make the switch to become a center referee.
Mm. All right. What enjoyment did you get from this particular tournament, for yourself and for the rest of the group that you were with, Clinton?
The mangoes, but really that one of the no, it was. I had a rough trip. It was, but getting around people and seeing the different cultures and stuff, um, it's interesting to me. I don't mind, visiting places, get the feel for everything. I wish we had more freedom, but due to the circumstances, we didn't really be able to. get the freedom.
Hmm.
But I enjoyed the recovery sessions. We guys had a blast doing like the pool, playing basketball. We done a basketball game. They done a little half field, little kickabout. So like the everybody they're doing different things together. The togetherness I really like, and I enjoyed it. I want to do it again. My only downfall, like I said, was the food for me. But other than that, I had a blast.
Mm. What about you, Amari?
I would say like the most enjoyable thing was the togetherness, and also finding out that I have a long lost brother in Dominican Republic. That was pretty crazy, and he's my fourth official for both my games, so we got
Oh.
to connect, and he likes basketball too, and yeah, it was good. Other than that, yeah, just the togetherness and like really feeling like it was a family that I didn't like leave from. Like I didn't go to the Dominican Republic, and like although I met these people, it felt like I knew them because of the circumstances, like world referees, and we had that connection.
Mm. Okay. And Natasha,
What's the question again?
what did you get the enjoyment out of the tournament and with the people you were with?
I agree with Randy in that the mangoes were a highlight of the trip. I enjoyed hanging out with these guys literally every day. Like I feel like they're like my brothers now, you know? Literally all day, every day we were in my room doing nothing. um, just the camaraderie and meeting all the people, it was good. I feel like I also have known the referees that I hung out with forever. Like it was good.
Okay. What about you, Stefan?
I hate to give you the same answer for a fourth time, but that really was the highlight of the trip for me was the camaraderie,
Uh-huh.
both with the international referees that we met, and the team here. Like Tosh said, we were in her room playing cards. Um, it really bonds you. And I said that before, and I warned Tasha and Amari that this would happen because in my previous trips with Randy and when I met with Amari, it was just me and Amari. um, it really does bond you more than it does just having local football. Like Tosh said, we feel like siblings now, um, and it goes beyond football. I mean, we had a disastrous, absolute disastrous travel day coming back to Bermuda. Um, we got delayed in the. Long story short, we got delayed in New York for a day. We were never supposed to be there, and we were like, you know what, we're gonna make the best of it. And we had a blast. We probably had the best 12 to 18 hours anybody has ever had stranded somewhere they shouldn't be. We had a ball. So it's the camaraderie for me. It's growing, as a family. It's my favorite part. I'm, as you can tell, I'm super social. So to be able to bond like that and have fun like that, it was a ball. That was my favorite part, and that's always my favorite part of any tournament is the camaraderie.
Mm, good stuff. We're joined now by the head of referees for the Bermuda Football Association, Mr. Cranston Williams. But Mr. Williams, before you get started, I just want to announce the starting lineup for the under 20 women who are taking on U.S. Virgin Islands in about 15 minutes. Starting lineup is Samantha Davis in goal, Trinae Simmons, Janaea Simmons, Danny Watson, Chichile Dolan, Caitlin Medeiros, Catherine Bean Rosario, Emily Cabral, Koa Goodchild, Zarina Anderson, and Jaden Masters are the starters for the Bermuda under 20 women's national team, who are set to kick off in about 15 minutes. But Mr. Williams, the fact that these four got the opportunity to travel and officiate internationally must be something that kind of leads you to. The direction in which you're hoping to go in?
Um, well, for me, these who in particular put the work in all summer long, COVID. I mean, I have to give a special shout out to Stephen, as I said before, because Stephen, he suffered a knee injury. He came back, persevered, and in the beginning, it was like, seemed like doom and gloom. But then with COVID, the under 15s got postponed, and Stephen just came right back and he did his thing. Natasha, all I can say is, she just came out of nowhere. And we were like, all right, Natasha's here. We're going to make the most of this. Clinton and Omar, we already know what they can do. These two, especially Clinton, I tell people all the time, Clinton has a totally different engine from most vehicles. His one just runs on what I call diesel. Omar is just a natural. You put Omar to run the fitness test, he could do it probably 10 times straight without stopping. So I was never, I guess, worried about what they can do. Now I'm hoping that come December, well, not hoping, I'm very, very optimistic that in December we're going to have, as I've said to the executive, a people listening party. So where somebody or all four, no, it won't be all four, but Mr. Major's just, I've been listening all this time, telling me, no, he wants to switch to go become a central referee. So if he wants to become a central referee, he's adding on 5 years to his time where he can go on the list. I don't think I want to hang around that long. But now they said that, of course, knowing me, I'm going to have to support him if that's the way he chooses to go. But yeah, we're hoping to have a FIFA listening party in December. From by all accounts, I was made to understand that exceptionally well. And, it was sure, I tagged everybody on Facebook, the whole process. I was really just excited to know that our officials went there and performed extremely well. I know Mr. Hayward's eager to come out of his, as he called his, staycation prison, so he can get back to training. Because Mr. Thorburn Rohan, Walton boss, he just left there, just got back to Jamaica. He was there from the second until yesterday. Put him through the paces with that. Amari got lucky, of course, he's back in school. Natasha was there. She even gave up Friday evening. She trained on her own with Rohan. So that just tells you the level of dedication these guys have. And I just expect nothing but exceptional games from these guys in the future.
As Stefan has pointed out, two of the young ladies starting for the Bermuda national team, under 20 national team today, are your officials as well, in Emily and Koa. So
actually, my apologies. You have Trinae, I think that should be Trinae Edwards. You have Danny Watson, she refereed, Chachale refereed, Caitlin refereed, Captain refereed, Koa, and Emily.
Yes.
So that's quite a few.
Quite a few. Yes. Yeah. So
but Koa and Emily are part of the referee academy. So yeah, we're definitely part of the MPL.
Yeah. Well, I want to say to you guys, sky's the limit. You've had this opportunity, chance to build on it. I know the the head of referees will be pushing you even further. Sometimes you might not like how that message is delivered, but just know that the message is delivered with love and expectations of pushing you even further. So as he talks about December, he's got high hopes. And I know when that day comes, it'll be a joyous and momentous occasion for not only you guys, but him and his fellow colleagues at the Bermuda Football Association, because now we're one more step closer to what the objective and goal is to have a team of officials from Bermuda back on that FIFA list for officials. And we're just one person to blow a whistle away from that. But we're making strides. So, Mr. Williams, keep on keeping on.
I'll do my best. I will do my best.
All right. And for you guys and lady, thank you very much. We'll see you throughout the season, if and when we do start a season. But I know you guys are staying ready. So I want to wish you all the best, and we'll talk to you again real soon, okay?
Thank
Have a good night.
Much, Earl. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, Errol.
Okay.
Yep. Have a good